Hello to you all, and welcome to IMPROVATE's Cybersecurity 2021 conference. I'm Lauren Izo. Starting us off is Pcysys, who created Pantera to help companies continuously validate their security posture, addressing their risk with the help of automated penetration testing. Amitai Ratzon, Pcysys CEO, joined the founding team 3 years ago to convert the company from a stealth mode startup with no revenue into an effective market leader with hundreds of customers worldwide in an industry that is hungry for a revolution. Thank you so much for joining me today. So Amitai, please tell us which problems your solution addresses in the cybersecurity space.
Thank you very much, Lauren. Before we address Pcysys Pantera and the value it brings about, I kind of would like to start with what we refer to as the cybersecurity perception gap. And that refers to the industry which misses a scalable way to continuously assess the true cyber posture of a company from the adversarial point of view. That means that when a CISO or the chief security officer's team looks in the mirror, they will actually see a king, while the adversary, on the other hand, will look at the same picture and see a pawn. Why is this happening to us? The problem we try to solve is the inability of enterprises to assure one's security efficacy 24/7. I think it's fair to say that each CISO is willing to kind of absorb a certain risk level within a certain band, which is why we're basically buying all these great defensive technologies, prevention, detection, EDR, best of breed, and all of those great technologies. At the same time, such is life, that new devices enter the network day in, day out. New employees come and go. Many companies grow through M&A, mergers and acquisitions, which means that companies in often cases need to absorb a whole division, a whole unit that comes with lots of vulnerabilities and lots of other issues that the company never planned on. And then there's the human configuration error that continues being there. No CISO and no company and no security program could stop one naive, humble employee from clicking the wrong link and then infecting the whole company and making it a victim to a ransomware attack. And I think we would all agree that in 2021, we're all afraid of ransomware attacks that have been making headlines lately. We've seen very brutal attacks like SolarWinds lately. When people started working from home, VPNs became a big vulnerability for any company. Any company that deploys their employees to work from home have this dilemma and have this issue. We need to work from VPNs. VPNs are our way to connect to the servers and the infrastructure which resides in some building that we once upon a time used to work from. And that creates a backdoor and basically heaven for attackers. The human factor, I'm going to repeat the human factor time and again. It's always there. It never goes away. And finally, we're all afraid of the bad consequences of data getting exfiltrated outside the company for all sorts of purposes, whether the intention behind is ransomware, extortion, hacktivism, you name it. So Pcysys comes to the rescue. Pcysys stands for Proactive Cyber Systems, and we are the company behind Pantera, which is the world-leading automated penetration testing platform that is here to prepare enterprises for the worst of attacks. Pcysys Pantera tries to mimic the hacker's mindset and way of thinking and bring this knowledge and this capability to the enterprise market. The company is backed by inside partners, the Blackstone Group and AWZ Ventures, and we are 200 plus customers across 30 countries with over 100 employees. So what is it that we try to do? What is this magic behind Pantera? So once again, Pantera, you can view it as 1,000 hackers in a box. It's a software platform that thinks and acts like the bad guy. Let's watch Pantera attack live and kind of see the different steps that the hacker would go through that Pantera would mimic. We deployed Pantera on-premise. It's a very fast 20, 30 minutes deployment. And immediately, as we click on launch the attack, the clock starts ticking and the attack starts happening. Immediately, just like the bad guy, we would start surfacing vulnerabilities, high severity, critical severity, low severity. And with those static and dynamic vulnerabilities, the attacker achievements would start popping up. An achievement in our language is any achievement that the hacker the bad guys would refer to as achievement had they been doing this for real. At the end of the attack, we would actually display the recipe for the attack, step by step, the whole kill chain, what caused what, and what is the root cause behind the catastrophe. When the attack is over, we display an executive report that shows the company how good they're doing, some sort of a trainer that would show you how good you are today versus yourself a month ago, 2 months ago. As part of the report, we would show you the achievements we were able to get to and what you should do about it, so how you should action upon what we have found. As part of this, we're exposing very interesting and cool information, like which hosts were taken over, and we would also show you which defensive technologies were able to bypass, which antiviruses, which EDRs were able to bypass and get into further achievements because of that. And at the end of the day, we're displaying 2 reports, one for the executives that only care about the bottom line. You cannot come to the board of directors or the CEO with too much data. It just needs to be high level. How are we doing today versus how are we doing a month ago? Are we on an improvement track, yes or no? And with that, we would also have a report for the techies, the people that actually need to attend to the remediation recommendations and need to actually do the work so that the company could continuously improve on the chart. Let's go over the main pillars behind Pantera and what we're about. First of all, it's an agentless technology. All of you IT guys that are watching me right now would appreciate the fact that it's agentless, which means we do not deploy lots of agents in the network, less of an IT hassle, plug and play, very easy to digest and absorb. One of our biggest values is that we're the no simulation guys. We perform the attack for real. Some refer to us as the real deal. That means that if a certain element of the attack shouldn't happen in the real world, it would not be part of Pantera, and vice versa. If the hacker, to get to the ultimate achievements, would inject malware into a host, and if the hacker would do some privilege escalation or something else, we would do it as well because we're as genuine as the real deal. At the same time, that puts a big load on our shoulders. We have to be safe, and safety by design is a big value at Pcysys. Whenever we run a certain attack, and then when we stop the attack, everything that was injected to hosts, every noise that happened during the attack gets cleaned up so that we go back to first base and nothing is left behind. Comprehensive and continuous in nature. We talked about the big perception gap and the fact that companies cannot perform continuous risk validation. One of the benefits here is that Pantera is your watchdog. Pantera could run 24/7. In often cases, we see corporates plug Pantera in, kind of launch the attack Friday 6 p.m. Then when they go back to the office Monday 6 a.m., the attack stops. That gives people the visibility of what the hell happened when I was enjoying my weekend and all those backup processes were running in the background. You'll be shocked by the type of stuff we find over weekends when people are actually having fun, enjoying their lives. Pantera is as genuine as the bad guy. That means that we can launch a black box attack, which actually means no credentials. We don't know anything about the network. We do not want to get any hints, and we get to the ultimate achievements just by the power of the machine. At the same time, Pantera could also run a guided pen test, meaning we could actually get to know ahead of time what are the crown jewels the company is trying to protect. And then when we actually capture the flag, when we get to the crown jewels, we would actually show you how we did that. You can also provide Pantera with credentials of the HR person, the finance person, the DevOps person, just to see how much power an attacker would have in their hands had they grabbed the credentials of employee A, B, or C. At the end of the Pantera attack, we would illustrate our results in a way that is mapped to the MITRE framework that we're all appreciating and following for the past few years. And as said before, instant reports are being generated on the fly without any individual writing PowerPoints or paying attention to editing and graphic design. It's all done for you by the platform. One report for the executives, for people who aren't cyber savvy, but still need to have a say and need to know what's happening. And the other report for the techie guys among us, the people who need to attend to the remediation recommendations we have given, people who actually do the work. That was Pantera. I encourage all of you listening to me right now to claim your remote free cyber health check to enjoy from the power of the machine so you can actually see in your own eyes how big the gap is in your specific company. And you can do that by approaching us at contact@Pcysys.com. And we'll be very happy to help. Those are non-trivial days, and we're here for all of you in this crazy battle we're fighting. Lauren?
Thank you, Amitai. It really sounds like you guys have spearheaded a new approach to security validation with your uniquely effective solution for security professionals that continuously challenges and tests their security controls. Please come back and sit with us at the table so I can ask you a few follow-up questions. Okay, so first of all, what makes your solution so different from the rest?
Thank you, Lauren. While there isn't any other automated penetration testing platform in the world, to the best of my understanding, we do look at three adjacent markets when we try to compare ourselves to others. One adjacent market would be the market of vulnerability management. That's a very big market, mature market, that puts the static Windows vulnerabilities at the center of focus. So the goal for those platforms is to identify the weak points and kind of highlight those vulnerabilities in a critical, medium, high-low, etc. way. Pcysys Pantera exploits the network, exploits those vulnerabilities, and pays attention to network misconfiguration of all sorts, because our philosophy is that unless you've exploited the vulnerability, you're exposed to tons of false positives, and you never really know if you're paying attention to the right things. The second adjacent market that we look at is the one of breach attack simulation. This market has a room, and great companies work there. The goal there is to do some control validation, challenge the controls in a very sterile way using simulations and by deploying tons of agents in the network. IT professionals among us would appreciate the fact that Pantera is agentless, so we don't create this hassle that has to do with deploying lots of agents in the network. And on top of everything, as I said before, we're attacking the network for real. So we're actually launching friendly malware to hosts. We're progressing the attack just like the bad guys, and we don't settle for niceties, because the attack tomorrow morning wouldn't be nice, and we don't want people to regret that they didn't try themselves like the bad guys would, hopefully not tomorrow morning. The third adjacent market we look at is the one of professional services-based penetration testing companies. First of all, we encourage MSSPs and professional services pen test companies to collaborate with us. We already collaborate with the best of the best. At the same time, I think one would appreciate the power of the machine versus a team of individuals conducting a penetration testing project. A team of individuals would by definition be less efficient, would have less coverage, and the company is very much dependent on the qualities of the specific individuals deployed to any penetration testing project. And I guess again, unless you're Gary Kasparov of the field, unless you're this guy that can kill machines and beat the machine hands down, then I wouldn't really take the risk of betting on human beings more than on a machine, which is the deep blue of our era.
So what makes your solution a good fit for organizations, especially during these difficult times? After all, we're in the middle of a global pandemic.
Unfortunately, we're in the middle of a global pandemic. I mean, maybe a year ago, we thought we would already be after that, or at least see the light. We kind of see the light, but let's see. Actually, I'm very proud of our technology team that back then in March 2020, when we've seen where the world is going, our technology team, the R&D at Pcysys, was able to put Pantera on the cloud to make sure that all the MSSPs in the world, service providers, and enterprises that would like to enjoy from continuous risk validation done by Pantera will be able to do that with the click of a button. So today, we don't have to go and visit customers face-to-face or kind of come with a laptop or with any other kind of physical mean. We would basically put Pantera on the cloud, and so that anyone in the world could enjoy from continuous risk assessment and continuous risk validation without any physical hassle. That's the first thing we did. The second thing we did is that we've realized quite fast that attackers have no mercy, and if others that were quite naive were looking for some sense of empathy by the attacker community that the world is going through some hell, and hey, I mean, why isn't it the time to stop? It actually, as Amos Gilad said before, it actually increased. And we've seen that the VPN technologies were like the point of focus for attackers. Pcysys Cyber Research team and the other teams in the company basically developed the most advanced techniques to attack VPN platforms, VPN technologies. And that's a big focus in what we do, because today any company that deploys their workforce to work from home would require their employees to connect through VPN to the central machinery. And I think we're providing quite of a good illustration of what are the bad consequences that could happen tomorrow morning if you're not taking good care of all the VPN-related vulnerabilities.
Right. So we're talking here about a lot of theoretical examples, but I wonder if you could give me like a real, actual example of how your solution helped a customer, a gap that Pantera has revealed, or actionable intel companies use to understand and improve their cybersecurity posture.
That's a great question. In fact, whenever we launch a POC, a security health check, whenever we deploy in production, we're fascinated by the type of things we see and by the big breadth of areas where we can help organizations. But if I'm trying to be very concrete, I would kind of stay high level to not be too technical for some people probably who are listening to us who aren't extremely technical. One thing that we see all the time, on the one hand, I'm happy we see that. On the other hand, it's a bit frustrating. We're seeing some legacy Windows-related vulnerabilities continue repeating in all kinds of corridors and floors and facilities of companies that are global. Things like Eternal Blue, Bluekeep, SMB Ghost continue appearing, although companies, when we meet with them, they would claim that they're completely patched or that they've ran their vulnerability tools lately. It's still there. A second thing we see is this perception gap, reality versus plan when it comes to a company's password policy. So before we launch any dynamic attack with all the bells and whistles you've seen before, we'd usually encourage a company to do some security password health check. That means that we would actually see whether if the CISO tells us that all passwords in my company are 12 characters, no exceptions, is it really the case? And we're always surprised to see people using dictionary passwords, easy to guess passwords, and it's not always fun, but at the same time—
But the easiest to remember.
Easiest to remember, I agree, but also easiest for the hackers to exploit and take advantage of. So it could be the easiest things that we find sometimes that give the highest value to our customers and partners.
All right, wonderful. Amitai, thank you so much for being with us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity.